Hey, good afternoon. I'm super excited. My name is Butch with Media 360, and I have a chance today to interview a powerhouse, right, in the team building and in the inspirational business. We got Jodie Ballou here with us. Jodie's from Houston, Texas,
Hey.
and she is leading the charge with the No Glass Ceilings, Just Blue Skies initiative that we rolled out, that was rolled out here with MWR with their women leadership. So. Jody, good afternoon. Super excited to get to spend a little bit of time with you. How are you doing today?
Absolutely, Butch. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for such a great introduction, but I'm excited about being here. Thank you for the opportunity. Hello,
Jody,
everybody.
this has been a long time coming. You were obviously identified as one of the leaders within the company. This is the first initiative that they're running here with regards to creating pioneering leadership among women to lead the charge. And we know that women are way better multitaskers than men, right? And we just know this. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, speaking
Finally,
as
you
a
guys
man.
realize it. Finally, y'all realize it.
Well, I'm a girl dad too. So one of the things I realize is, the sooner we can admit that we cannot walk and chew gum at the same time, men anyway, and respect that the fact that women not only can do it, they do it gracefully and they do it well.
Yes.
So, super excited for that. Um, I'm going to just jump right in and ask you a couple of base questions because I'd love for the audience to get to know you as well and get to
Awesome.
understand you a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Jody, tell us a little bit about your background. You've had quite a diverse background between all the way from human resources to technology development as well. So that's a pretty wide spectrum. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, again, thanks you guys for having me here. Thank you, Butch. A little bit about myself. I do have a background in information technology, so I'm a Gen Xer. So I don't know about who knows about the Gen X crew, but we are the bomb. Okay, Gen Xers are rocking it these days, and I'm never ashamed to say my age. Right, so I am a 54-year-old midlifer, Gen Xer, empty nester. And I am, I believe I'm living my best years right now. But I do come from a background of information technology, 20 years of human resources as a corporate recruiter. And just, on a personal note, I do like to take my mask off. And I just want to say that I did encounter a life-changing event about 5 years ago. I was married for about 23 years. And Butch, I've been divorced now about 5 years. And that was definitely a rough time in my life. I had to start over literally at 50 years old, and I came out of that and I found out that I have a lot of resilience. There's been some resilience there, some strength there that I didn't know I have. So I want to inspire someone, if anything, not just give information but some inspiration today to somebody who's been through some of those life-changing events. And for me, that was an event that definitely defined who I am today. But again, I've come out of that 5 years later, and I'm in a situation now where I just desire to grow. I have three beautiful grown children who are out on their own. Amen, amen, and amen.
I love that.
and
Awesome.
and yeah, and I do have one grandbaby. So again, I'm excited about these years ahead and excited about growing with MWR. So that's just a little bit about myself.
Congratulations. Thank you for sharing that. So, Jody, that leads me to a couple of things, right? Number one is, would you consider yourself more of a corporate structured background, or would you say you're more entrepreneurial, or were you more entrepreneurial later in life?
I think the latter describes me a little better. A little more entrepreneur later in life. I definitely enjoyed HR. I was in information technology for about 7 years, and
Jody,
then
no one enjoys HR. Come on.
let me tell you why I enjoy HR. Let me read. I enjoy it because of the reward. It's very rewarding to offer jobs. I could tell you like that.
Okay.
I'm a, that's what the reward I get because I have the opportunity to offer, to put money in people's pocket, right? And so employee relation, people relations, that's just fits my extroverted, gregarious personality, right? And so I cut my teeth, in HR, just even as just an assistant, and then gradually moved up into corporate recruiting. And so literally, and then and I found from that that I've always had an entrepreneur spirit but didn't tap into it. I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My father was an entrepreneur for over 45 years. I have a twin brother who's been an entrepreneur since he graduated college. I have another brother. So I have two other brothers who are entrepreneurs. So I was the only one still stuck in corporate, and they were, living this time freedom entrepreneur life. So, like I said, the latter is true that later on I became, I moved into the entrepreneur sector.
I love that. I love the fact that you've also seen being in HR as an opportunity to give opportunity. And
Yes,
so that's
yes.
an interesting perspective. So I stand corrected with it not being a fun situation. It's very fun when you can do that.
Yeah, I love the way you put that. Yeah, thank you for clarity. I love the way you put that. Yes, giving people the opportunity to get opportunity. So, yes.
I
Yeah.
love that. So now, given that you stayed in corporate structure for most of your adult life or your working life, and then had some personal adjustments over the last 3 to 4 years
Yeah.
with regards to having a marriage end,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, where does that fit in with psychological changes, life goal changes, figuring out, wait a second, I've been a certain way. I would imagine if you've been around for 23 years, then you've had an identity for 23 years, right? So whether it be the way in corporate structure or you were somebody's wife, somebody's mom, for 23 years, it kind of spoke for you. And now you have a chance to reinvent, rediscover,
Oh, yeah.
recreate, rebrand. What has the last 4 or 5 years been like for Jodie Ballou?
Wow. You really said it all for me. Literally, those are the words that what I was going to say was that this journey over the last 5 years has truly been a redefining of who I am. Not just a mother, not just a wife, not just, but a redefining of who I am as a person. I've been able to regain independence. I've been able to regain a strength and a courage that I didn't know I had. So basically, I love the word reinvention. I think we should all reinvent ourselves every few years, basically. There's been a reprogramming of thoughts and ideas and things like that. So reprogramming, reinvention, rediscovery. I've been on a self-discovery journey. So many different things have happened to me. I've metamorphosized, I think, into a person who is different, and that's good because the only thing in life that's constant is change. The only thing in life that's constant is change. And until we embrace that, it's okay to change. It's okay to go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And I know for a fact my personality, I've always been a social butterfly. And now that I do have the liberty to discover that and determine my steps every single day and make those decisions that allow me to just blossom into the person that I am. So to answer your question again, these last few years have allowed me to step into a person who almost is unrecognizable in a good way, in a good way, because I find that challenges cause you to become a person that you never thought you would have ever been. And it has blessed my children. It has blessed my peers because they saw me in one light, right? They saw me in one way, but then they saw that I had the ability to become something greater and something better. It hasn't always been great, hasn't always been good. Of course, there's been some challenges and some failures and some struggles. But the main thing that I want to say that is so important, Butch, is that we have to allow ourselves to heal from traumatic events, right? We have to allow ourselves to go through a season of healing where we identify and we confront those behaviors and those self-sabotaging patterns. And that's what I did. I was able to go through that time of finding out, okay, let me not let no let me just I don't want to just point the finger at myself, or at the other person, because I have three coming right back at me, right? Pointing the finger at somebody means three are coming back at me. So definitely, taking responsibility for my own actions and things, but also knowing that that's the past. I forgive myself, I move on, and I know that God has greater for me because the Bible says that all things work for good to them that love the Lord and who are called according to his purposes. So I take that and I leave it there, and I just take every single day to not allow my traumas to make the decisions, not allow my disappointments and those wounds to make a decision for me anymore. So guess what? I love the Jodie that I see in the mirror now. But I had to go through that healing journey. So that reinvention and that season of being of self-discovery, let me tell you something, it's been a beautiful journey so far.
That journey has been beautiful, Jody. I love the Jody that you see in the mirror as well. That she is stunning, she's gorgeous, she's
Thank you.
intelligent, she's a great communicator, super charismatic, right?
Thank
Very
you.
magnetic personality. So you have all this going for you as well. So I'm going to ask you
Thank
something.
you.
With all of those traits and having those talents and having those gifts, and then being so generous with them as well. What prompted you to align with the vision of MWR, and why did you feel that in this juncture in your life, having gone through what you've been through, coming out of the butterfly effect, and feeling like you're breaking through to a whole new identity, what resonated with you when you first learned of this opportunity to say, hey, wait a second, there's something special going on here, and I'm going to choose to align my identity with this company?
I love that. Alignment and positioning is so important, Butch. I love that. I love that you mentioned alignment. God has to align us with our assignment. So it's alignment with the assignment. And when MWR was put in front of me, again, someone just ask me about my future and wealth building, right? They just asked that question of, would you be willing to see a presentation about, wealth building or something like that? And I was like, sure. And it was someone who was in my circle, my sphere of influence. They were in my sphere of influence, and they were part of MWR, and they reached out to me because they saw that I was always talking about wealth and leaving a legacy and everything. So it was just a very natural thing to have a conversation with me about that, and I thank that person today for that. And the Zoom presentation was conducted by our very own Adamo. Okay. And when I met Adamo, I think we were on the Zoom call for about 3 hours, for about 3 hours. And I could just tell you, without really knowing the details, and the process and the services and everything of MWR, without knowing that, it was the person that gave the presentation. And the reason why I want to say this is because John Maxwell, who I absolutely love reading his books, John Maxwell talks about
The laws of
everything
leadership.
rises. Yeah, everything rises and falls on leadership, the law of the lid. And meeting Andamo made me realize, hey, something is there. He's, as a leader, I saw his character as a leader, and I said something is there. And so that's what drew me first to make wealth real, is because I heard Adamo's passion. I felt it, I heard it, and it made me want to know more about it. That's what happened.
Oh, I
And
love that.
I'm a passionate person myself. So, we recognize that, like we see it coming, right? And so it's contagious, it's infectious. And I wanted to hear more about it. And so I saw the alignment of MWR in my own life, especially when he spoke about, and we'll talk about it more, about the silver piece, about the silver leasing program. And throughout my journey in life, I know I've been in positions where I've had to pioneer things, right? There's like a pioneer and anointing, I believe, on my life. I was a part of a ministry for over 22 years, and we started in that pastor's home, and it grew into a mega church. For 22 years I was a part of that ministry, and so I was able to be a part of that and trailblaze so many ministries, there. So when Adamo started talking about MWR and all the great things that MWR had been doing, and then the silver leasing program that started, immediately something sparked a fire in me that said, okay, this is great. So that alignment right there and that positioning, and him as a leader, began to something started churning inside of me, that life is a full circle. It's like life is a full circle. And it began to show me that, Jody, this is something that could literally change my life and the life of my children and the legacy. So that alignment, that began to show me that MWR has the core values and the vision and the mission that truly I live for. And that's why it began to be something that I wanted to be a part of.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. You're super fortunate to have the introduction made by Andama Tolson as you got introduced to this
I
opportunity, because he is passionate and he is a servant leader and he is talented, but more importantly, he's got more heart than I think I've ever measured in a human being. And,
Yes,
it's been said that you can never measure the heart of a champion. Well, if that is true, then they haven't met Andama Tolson, because you can
yes,
almost see champion every time he speaks, and that's just how he operates. But
truly
here's
honored.
here's
I was
one
truly honored.
as well, right? So, listening to you and your passions and your drives, it's been said too that you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person.
Mm,
So, at some point, I believe that you were meant to listen to the message, regardless of who was delivering it. You more than likely would have heard it in the right light as well. So,
mm.
I think that would have happened. But I'm going to ask you this: given that you said you were introduced to this by somebody that was in your circle, and therefore, I think they may have had some trust with you, or you had some trust with them. That being said, were you able to see the opportunity through your own eyes, or were you maybe and I'm going to qualify why I'm asking this question, because sometimes when we feel that we want to share an opportunity with someone, we think that somehow we're being inspected as well and we're being evaluated as well. And in reality, it's not. If I brought you to church, for example, and I may not be the perfect role model, it doesn't change how you may see your relationship with God or with church,
Mm,
because it's personal.
mm-hmm.
You're not going, oh, wait a second, church can't be that good. Butch is, he's always doing tricks. Um, so at the same time, when you got invited to MWR and you got invited to have a look at this, were you able to see it for what it does through your own eyes, or how much did your inviters' position or success or play a role in your decision to pursue this?
Well, I could just tell you, I didn't know that person very well.
Yeah, good. That's
But
good.
when that person asked me to see this opportunity, I I felt that, well, first of all, my personality is I will never turn anything down because I just have an open mind. And just as a courtesy, if someone asks me to watch something, I will watch it and see if it's for me or not. That's just as a courtesy. But no, I didn't know that person well. I didn't know his success in the business or anything, Butch. I just literally just as a
That's
courtesy
perfect.
said, I just said, "Hey, sure, I'll watch it." I don't know what his rank was. I don't know anything about it, about what position he was. I didn't know anything. So I was literally, um, uh, I just had an open mind, a clean slate when I saw the presentation, if I could say it like that. And then from there, when Adamo gave me the present, when we did the presentation the first time, of course, it was a lot of information, and it wasn't until I started seeing the presentation even more, and getting more information about it, that I really began to see everything that it offered, and exactly, what was all involved. But initially, um, it just made sense to me what the services was and what it offered, and also how it met my need to have a future, a retirement, in a very accelerated way, where it was making up for lost time. And when I saw that presented to me and the numbers and how it made sense, and I do want to say this, at 54 years old, when I had that presentation with Andamo, at 54 years old, I had never had a conversation about silver ever in my life. Ever. No one had ever talked about investing in silver. Ever. And so that was intriguing in itself. Okay. So I'm just, I don't mind learning something new. I have a very open mind, and I think that, and I'm thankful that God gave me that desire to want to have an open mind. So if that answers your question. The person who
Perfect. Thank you so
told me
much.
about it, yeah, the person who told me about it, I didn't know much about them or their position in MWR at all.
Got it. Jody, give me 1 second. I'm going to let your internet stabilize for a second. Am I losing your connection? Are you feeling like, are you still coming out clear on camera?
I see you clearly. Yeah, everything's fine on my end.
Okay, you got wonky on your end.
Is it
And then
choppy on
you
my
were cutting
end?
in and out. Got
It's
a
a little
little bit
choppy.
choppy. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to see if we can get the studio to clean that up. So we're going to keep going. So that was honest, and thank you for that. So the reason I love what you just shared, because let me start over. I'm gonna pause for 5 seconds. I'm gonna start over. So I love what you just shared because you were able to take the opportunity with your own light, with your own open mind, with your own fresh perspective. And like you said, you've always been had an open mind. So you were always looking at things. And the reason I say that is because I think sometimes what holds people back is when they don't want to share an opportunity or any kind of good news sometimes is they feel like somehow they're being reflected in that offer. So, if I haven't made X number of dollars, if I haven't achieved X amount of success, then I cannot share the opportunity with the next person because it's going to reflect on me more than they see the opportunity for what it is. So I'm glad that didn't hold you back because look at how passionate you are today about
Yeah.
your decisions to work with MWR.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Very good point.
When you first started, what did you think this business would be, and if any, has that changed at all in the last since you've been around?
Oh, it has absolutely changed from my initial from my initial encounter, Butch. At the beginning when I saw the financial services that was offered to help us with our financial health, I thought that was amazing. That you guys offer the experts to evaluate our finances and just help us in that area. And then of course, like I said, the cherry on top to me was the silver leasing program. That was a new program, and I was excited about God's favor being on MWR to even allow this partnership to happen, with an asset management team and just all of it that was involved with that. um it's more than that. It has to do with building people. It's about building people. It's about inspiring people. It's about showing people that the limits can be removed, that the limits that we have on ourselves can be removed. The limits that we have on wealth and time freedom and financial freedom, the limits can be removed. So to be able to see that MWR offers us a clear strategy, a clear roadmap to be able to gain financial freedom in a way that is, like they say so well, safer, faster, and smarter than anything out there. And I'm just so excited about it because the strategy is clear. And one thing that I can say about Butch, you and Adamo, is that you guys use the words clarity and strategy over and over and over again. And it's all about having a clear strategy to offer to the people because it's so easy for people to dismiss something that they don't understand. It's easy for people to just count it out and they don't even give it a chance because, it's new. So they're not familiar with it, right? Um, but yet, when you lay out the roadmap and the GPS to get to financial freedom, the way MWR lays it out, there is no you can't deny it. You can no longer dismiss it. You don't want to see it at that point. You just don't want to see it. And so to offer that hope and a clear plan to people is what excites me.
It's so powerful. You're so generous, so kind with you, not just your observations, but it seems like it's also where your motivations are drawn from. You're urgent about not only achieving success, but you're urgent about sharing success and giving
Yes.
success.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
don't know how you've escaped for most of your life from just being, pushed into forced leadership because you were born to do this. You were born to lead. Um,
Wow. Thank
your
you.
your core is a generous, giving nature, and that is, whether people realize it or not, the first, in my opinion, the first feat of being a good leader is being generous with that need. So, what do you actually want all out of this business? What is your impact? What is your legacy? What is your end goal outside of finances?
Just being a part of MWR, Butch, for the last, going on 12 weeks, 3 months now, I find that MWR has given me a reason to wake up.
It's wonderful.
MWR has given me a reason to wake up. And I want to be able to give that hope to other people that until you got to have a purpose and a reason to live. And I don't want to just it's not just cliche, this is not fluff. This is literally, again, at my age, I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. First of all, let's say that. Let's make that clear. So there is an urgency in my spirit to accomplish things and to achieve purpose. And I hope other people feel that way about their lives. And we all have lived a full life and we've been through many different things in our lives, successes, failures, many different things. And so we come to a place in our lives where we have to decide, we have to settle where we want to go and what we want to do. And we can't vacillate. We don't have time to vacillate. We don't have time to waste anymore. And so, I challenge myself to say, okay, Jody, you have in this new season, in this next chapter, what do you want it to look like? Because nobody is coming to rescue you. So what do you want it to look like, Jody? And so when MWR came to me, it began to show me a clear path to financial freedom, because at 54 I realize I need and I desire, I need, for time to be made up. Let me just say it like that. I need to make up for some lost time. I was married young, had babies young, raised the children, and many times many of us live paycheck to paycheck, and we're in survival mode, and we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, all the way up until we're in our 60s and 70s. I just want to be real for a minute. And I was just in Home Depot the other day and saw 65-year-olds and 70-year-olds working. And I'm like, what's going on with Home Depot? They're making sure these senior citizens got a job, and that's great. That's great. But, you know, we come to a place in our lives where we have to make a decision and say, how do we make up? God, how can you make up? How can we make up for lost time? And MWR gives us an opportunity to be able to make up for lost time if we follow the roadmap and the strategy. And what I know MWR can do for me is that it can help me make up for lost time, not just for myself, but also give my children and my grandchildren, my seed and my seed an opportunity that I didn't even have in my 20s and 30s and 40s. And now that opportunity is there. And I want my footprints to be remembered, just all of that. Like, I just want so much. I want something to live beyond me when I'm in the grave. So MWR has given me a reason to wake up, Butch.
So
And
that's
I say that with all conviction. I say that with all conviction. I say that with all conviction. It has given me a reason to wake up in a way that I know that not only has my life changed, but it's going to change the women that I'm in the group with right now, the cohort. We're going to change each other's lives. Iron sharpens iron. And it's also going to change my children's lives and their children's lives, because I really can now do something that makes a difference in my life and in my children's life. And I'm excited about that. And the people to come and all the people to come, the next cohort, the next women's leadership cohort. I'm just excited about making a difference and an impact in the lives of so many people. That's what I'm excited about.
So that's massive. That is massive, and it's profound as well. To be able to respond to the question and say, "Hey, I'm excited to wake up every morning because of this opportunity." That's that's a statement in itself. That's
Yeah,
conviction, right? As you said it.
it
I
is.
appreciate you being that candid, that open, that unfiltered in this interview. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second because of your raw enthusiasm that you have, and you have this overwhelming passion to really get into the heart of certain people. If I looked at you and I said, Jodie, what is it about this opportunity that has you feeling the way you feel? How can I borrow some of that emotion? What would you say to me with me still allowing to stay me, right? Because we may not have the same personalities. Um, what would you say to me, which is going to allow me to feel like I maybe can experience what you're experiencing?
Repeat the question for me, Butch.
So I want
The-
you to share with me. I want to feel how you feel.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want to feel how you feel. I want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I too want to wake up every morning feeling excited for my future, for my life, for my legacy, for my, to protect the generations after me, and maybe even make some corrections to the ones before me. How powerful I can see this is. So, Jodie, how would you invite me into experiencing this and then still allowing me to embrace it as my own?
That's a good question, Butch. What I would say is this company gives people hope. And so I would tell you the way that you experience the passion and the emotion that I have is because I have hope. Someone presented hope to me. And I think when people get a sense of hope and that they are going to be all right and that they can make it, then guess what? You will begin to change your emotions because people do what they do because they believe what they believe. I'm going to say that again. People do what they do because they believe what they believe. And if anybody does not have hope or passion, it's because they have no reason to have hope. They have no reason to have passion about anything. And so, what I would offer to you, Butch, is I would offer you an opportunity to embrace what I've embraced. And that is to give yourself an opportunity to see what MWR offers and also believe in the fruit of the leaders. When you see the fruit of the leaders, right? Then you will see that all you have to do is follow the leader. All you have to do is follow the leader. And when you follow a proven strategy and it will get you from point A to point B like it did for our leaders, then you know what? That gives me hope to know that there is a future because I may not have to figure this thing out any longer. You know what I'm saying? I can just follow the leader. I don't have to figure it out. And I think people are so inundated with having to figure life out. And so when I can go to people and give them this clear strategy and they can actually see how their life can change, that's when vision kicks in. That's when hope kicks in. Again, the information becomes inspiration at that point. It's not just information anymore. It converts to the inspiration. And so I want to get people excited where they're on the edge of their seat. They're like, look, they just can't wait to sign up because they're like, they see that I'm passionate about it it becomes contagious. It becomes infectious because I believe what I believe. And the only way you're not going to
I can
believe what I
understand.
believe the only way you're not going to believe what I believe or have the passion is because you're not giving yourself a chance. And I'm going to challenge that person, say, remove all of the old programming and conditioning that's causing you not to receive the new information. Because the only thing in life that's constant is change.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when new things happen, I believe people reject the new. And I have to even break it down and say this. I have to say this. Cybertrucks were not in existence 10 years ago, but it's new today. So if I would have talked about cyber, it's new today. It's new. I live in Houston, Texas, Butch, and on every corner, apartment complexes are coming up on every corner. And I can tell you that apartment complex was not there 6 months ago, right? And it's new today. It's here today. Innovation, new things are coming up every single day. So when I tell people, open your mind to things that are new and don't dismiss it right away. So again, I know I digress, but I say that the passion is there because I embrace what God put before me because I knew what I was praying about. And it makes sense to me. And it gives me joy and it gives me hope because I know I can follow the leader and I see their fruit.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jody. That's an honest answer as well. I'm going to ask you a philosophical question to some extent. You embrace this, you see it with clarity, you believe there is some divine intervention as well, and you've made all those determinations based on all the pebble stones that you've walked over life with. You
Yes.
get to this point and you see something like this. What at what point um at what point is it okay to quit on something like this? That's a tough question. At what point is it okay to stop believing and quit on something like this, if that answer exists?
It's not
And I'm going
okay to
to
quit.
qualify the
I
question.
mean, yeah.
So many times, right? You spent 2, 3 decades in corporate America, and you now found your new calling in life with this new identity you have. So many times, people would commit to something for years without question, and then question everything they see that they don't quite understand. You mentioned the Cybertrucks that didn't exist. So 10 years ago, we could not have a conversation with, if I didn't have imagination or if I didn't feel like I could believe your conviction, I would fight you on whether or not Cybertrucks would ever exist.
Right.
Now, we wouldn't have to disagree on how ugly they look because I think that's something that just speaks for itself.
Right.
But the reality, right, of just having the kind of electric cars that we have today. So people get into an opportunity, and all of a sudden they expect to have all the answers given to them in the first 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they're supposed to have all the clarity over the next 2 weeks. And within the first month, they're making more decisions on why they should quit or leave as
Mm,
opposed to why they should hunker down and plant their flag and make decisions that's going to drive their heart and their minds and their futures. Why is
mm.
that? In
I,
your views, why is that?
yeah. I love that question. It actually is digging deep inside of me to think. I know people quit because they don't really believe they can do it. And I go back to this. People do what they do because they believe what they believe. And even being in this particular women's cohort, I know that I'm in this for a reason because you and Adamo are sandpaper to me, and iron sharpens iron. And it is stretching me, and it's causing me to challenge those old mindsets and those self-limiting beliefs and those self-doubting beliefs that I've had. So I believe people quit because they're not willing to go the extra mile and show themselves that they can do it. The definition of insanity, Butch, is to do the same thing over and over, thinking you're going to get a different result. Is that
Yep,
correct?
that's absolutely correct.
And I believe we're stuck sometimes we're stuck. And our brain has to create some new neural paths to believe something new because there's some old paths, patterns and pathways that's going on. And I find that until we challenge our mind and say, it's time to pivot. It's time to do something different. It's time to change because my way has not been working. And so people quit because they haven't yet allowed themselves to get in that pattern. It's like working out. They quit after 3 days. They make a New Year's resolution, and guess what? 2, 3 weeks later, they've quit because they haven't allowed themselves that 21 days to set in for that behavior, that pattern to kick in. And so people quit. It's easier to just quit. It really is easier to quit than to challenge yourself to get on the other side and be great. It's easier to really just quit. But what you guys have taught me in the last few weeks, oh my God, what you guys have taught me is something that I hate about myself. I
No.
don't like structure. My personality, I don't like structure. Because my personality, I'm very spontaneous, and I have to force myself to follow a plan. I have to force myself to follow structure. And you guys have taught me structure. You've challenged me in the area of discipline. You've challenged me in the area of digging deep to rationalize my thinking and my behavior, my critical thinking. You guys have challenged me in the area of rising up to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Because the proof is in the fruit, Butch. The proof is going to be in the fruit. And so you guys are making me accountable to who I am and what I believe in. And I absolutely am not going to shrink back. And I welcome this challenge because I know it's what I need. And I want to challenge other people because I want them to see what's inside of them. I want them to see the same way that I'm seeing through my divorce and through the things that I've had to go through. I'm seeing that there's some resilience there, Jodie. There's some strength there that you didn't think was there until you allowed yourself to go there and you didn't quit. You got there, but you did not turn around in the face of something hard. Guess what? You kept going. And so I tell you, Butch, that quitting is not an option because we'll never get to that place where we are great. We will stay stuck and we will stay trapped and we will never accomplish what God put us on this earth to accomplish if we continue to keep quitting.
I love that. I love that. Jody, I was going to ask you a different final question, but I'm going to pivot now and ask you something more personal. Um, you mentioned about getting married young, being a mom young, living the next 3 decades committed to an identity that was pre-framed for you. Not that you rejected it, you embraced it. And I'm sure it brought you great joy. You talked about being so proud of your kids and the life that they live today and as you know, and as much as they've gone into their own adulthood. But let's circle back. 54 years old. So we're going to go back 36 years. And right now you're 16, 17 years old. And I'm certain you're still gorgeous. You got big eyes and you got big dreams, big goals, and you've had this personality your whole life. So you run into 16-year-old Jodie. And I picked 16 only because if you said you had kids young, I'm thinking shortly after that, or maybe right around that
Yeah,
time,
20s.
you became a mom. So 16-year-old Jodie, what's your conversation like with her with regards to what life is going to dish out, how she's going to handle it, navigate it, and how she's going to push through because it's so worth it?
Yeah, that's a deep question. I would definitely tell that 16-year-old Jodie to believe in herself, that she doesn't have to please people. You know, you can be yourself. That God created you a certain way for a reason, and it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. And not to shrink back when things get, when things are scary, not to shrink back, but to know that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay, to make some wrong decisions, but to bounce back and know that God knows the end of the story. and we win. You're gonna win at the end of the story. You know, it's already predestined for you. You're gonna win at the end of the story. So just keep going and know that you are already equipped. You're already equipped. Like the manufacturer, when God created you, Jodie, you were already created and equipped with everything you need to live this life with greatness and to prosper and be everything that God put you on this earth to be. You're already equipped with that. No matter what comes along, you're already equipped. And so,
That's powerful.
yeah, so I would tell that 16-year-old, you know, as things happen in your life, in a way they were meant to happen, because everything is getting you to the journey of where you need to be. So
Well,
you
I
just go
love.
through life. Yeah, so you just go through life knowing that you win. At the end of the story, you win. And I
Yeah.
want to tell
So
you, Butch, one of my favorite books that I read by Bruce Willis is called The Dream Giver.
Bruce Wilkerson.
I'm sorry, Willis. I said Willis, but I meant Wilkerson. Thank you, Bruce Wilkinson. A book that I love is Bruce Wilkinson, The Dream Giver, and it is about how ordinary left the land of familiar and was facing so many giants and different things. And I read that book every time I feel like a new season. I'm embarking upon a new season.
You need to. I read that to my daughters when they were in
Yes,
elementary school, and
love absolutely, and it's relevant even in our adult life. Absolutely, so
100%.
relevant.
I still have
Absolutely
it in my
relevant.
office. As you were talking, I
Yeah.
looked around at my desk because I could
Yes.
see that book right there. I
I
love
I
that.
love that book.
I
Yeah.
have one more
So yeah.
question for you. Final
Yeah. Go.
question. Final question. And I know I said that the last time, but you're so addictive, and I want to get so much out of you. You know, we're running the Women's Initiative of Leadership with the No Glass Ceilings, Just Blue Skies. We want to not only lift and celebrate the success of women leadership, but we want to create the legacy of women to come
Yes,
after us as well.
for sure.
Fast forward a year from today, middle of April 2027. We are speaking at a packed stadium. There's 37,000 people in attendance. Jodie Ballou is one of the celebrated leaders in the company because of the impact that you have made in communities all across this country. And now you are addressing that group. You're speaking live from stage, um, and you are sharing with them the last 1 year of your time in this opportunity. Give us a glimpse of what that speech sounds like.
Mm. Wow, that's a great question.
I know you
And
got
and
it in you.
and I pray that that happens. I pray that that happens. You know, what this last year has been for me is defined as growth, development, growth, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially. Um, it has caused, being a part of MWR has caused a wholeness to come about in my life. A manifestation of the whole person to 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 blossom and come to fruition. And all because I said yes. All because I said yes. And I trusted the people that God put in my life, the leaders that God placed, Butch and Endamo, and their years of experience and their teachings. I allowed them to pour into me to become who I am today. And what it has done, it has allowed me to duplicate after my own kind because they have duplicated after their own kind. And so the core values of MWR are my core values. The vision of MWR, that's my vision. The mission of MWR, that is my life's mission. And so over this last year, I'm thankful that I've been able to be a change agent for everyone that's watching me today. Everyone that is sitting in the audience, every one of you that have received rewards, I am so grateful to have been a small part of your transformation and your children's transformation. I'm so humbled and I'm so grateful that God chose me to be a part of this amazing company. And I can't wait to see everyone that's going to come behind me and do even greater works. I'm so excited. So, with that being said, Butch, I'm ready for the ride. I'm ready for all of the years that we're going to be in business together and be in partnerships together to change a generation, to change families, and to show people that we can make wealth real in their life and in the lives to come.
Jodie Ballou, you are a gracious and powerhouse of a leader already. I can already manifest a year from now what that's going to look like. This
Thank you.
company is privileged to have you um, take on the responsibility and the calling to come and lead. Women after this are going to
Yes.
look back and be grateful that you were willing to put in the time and the effort and the behind the scenes work that is often
Yes.
so uncelebrated to be
Yes.
able to achieve the results that you're undoubtedly going to receive. So thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
the time today to share those thoughts, share your heart, share your
Thank you.
mind, your
Thank you. Thank
passions
you.
with this audience and with this community as well. I'm grateful
Thank
to
you.
have a front row seat to watch all of this manifest and happen. It's going to be exciting. I
Thank you.
absolutely am thrilled to be in your presence as well. So
I
thank you for
appreciate that. I
coming.
don't take it lightly. I do not take it lightly. So I appreciate it so much. I do not take it lightly. Thank you so much, Butch, for your time and your energy. Um, Adamo, when he was talking about your accolades and where you are and who you are, I took that seriously. I took that seriously. And I just want to tell you, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you kindly as well.
All right.
Wish you a
Great.
wonderful day.
All right. You too. Bye bye.